Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing Blood of Elves by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the third book in the Witcher series. Well, technically it's the first novel in the Witcher series. The first two are short story collections. I did this as a buddy read with Sin from SYN'S book Nook. We buddy read the second book and we are going to be continuing doing buddy reads on the rest of the Witcher books, or the novels in the series rather. You don't have to technically read The Last Wish or Sword of Destiny in order to understand Blood of Elves. You can just jump straight into Blood of Elves, but if you want my personal opinion, guys, it would be really beneficial for you guys if you want to read the Witcher series to actually start off with The Last Wish and Sword of Destiny. Even though them storylines are separate from the Blood of Elves book and where it's going to be going on with the series, it'll be really beneficial because you get used to the characters. You get to know Geralt, Dandelion, Yennefer, and all these other good characters as well. You actually get to know the world, you get to know the monsters, you get to know about the Witcher himself, and you get to understand about the different relationships between characters and how they feel around each other, and actually leads on to Blood of Elves. So when you read that book, you are used to the characters, you know all these characters and who they are and what their relationships are with each other. So if you miss the first two books, it's kind of like going into a movie and missing the first 10 or 20 minutes. You will eventually understand the movie, but there will be aspects of it which you won't fully understand. So that's probably the best way that I can describe it. So before I go any further, let's just go straight over to Sin now, where she'll be telling you about her thoughts and feelings regarding this novel.
Hello, lovely people of David's Book Reviews. I am Sin of Sin's Book Nook. We just finished up the Blood of Elves in the Witcher series, and I must say this one I liked a lot better than the last one. It had more of a story. It didn't have as much action, that's for sure. The last prior one was all like action adventure. But this one had more story, and it got into more of the politics and why stuff was happening the way it was, and then more of the backstory of Ciri and Geralt and some of the other characters, and just gives you a more all-encompassing look at like what's going on. How Ciri has started her Witcher training, and then also going to school and training with a sorcerer, and how she's kind of somewhere in between becoming a Witcher and also like a very powerful magician or sorcerer. And I thought it was really good and enjoyed it quite a bit. Thank you, David, for having me here and for a fun buddy read.
Thanks for that, Sin, and if you want to watch her video, please check out the description. I will have a link down below and it will take you right to her channel and to her review for Blood of Elves. So this is just going to be a spoiler-free video as always, and this is just going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this book. I did actually read the physical copy of it on my Kindle, but I had to listen to it again on audio to have the story sunken in or understand everything. But this is a series that you have to read multiple times in order to appreciate it and understand it completely. So this book, at its core, revolves around the character of Ciri, who is a princess from the fallen kingdom of Sintra. Now Ciri is a princess who has escaped Sintra when it was taken over by the Nilfgaardians. And she was destined, as was mentioned in Book 2, to find Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher, and to train with him, and it was her destiny to do so. They were destined to find each other and to be with each other, not in a romantic way. Trust me, guys, they don't have any romantic feelings towards each other, but they are destined to be responsible for each other. That's probably the best way that I can describe that as well. But Ciri's always been tormented and plagued by nightmares about Sintra and about her grandmother being killed, and this really scary knight in this big suit of armor and this winged helmet that she's completely afraid of. But she is determined to be a witcher, no matter what it takes, and she's a very strong-willed character. But she also has these powers within herself that is outside of being a witcher. She has these abilities that isn't really labeled in black and white what they actually do and are, but everyone in this world is conscious of her and knows that she has these abilities and powers, whatever they may be, and they see her as a threat to the whole of life and the universe and everything. And they want to find her, and I don't know whether they want to control her and harness her abilities and use her as a weapon, or whether they simply want to kill her. But Ciri is training to be a witcher. There hasn't been a female witcher before, and she is probably the first one ever. And we find out that there is this temple that the witchers train at. Geralt is there, obviously, and there are other witchers within this building. And they are training Ciri to become one. And we find out that there is these herbs and these potions that they have to take in order to mutate into being a witcher. You know, they have their strength enhanced and their speed and agility. And she's always on these obstacle courses trying to train to become a witcher. She's really determined to be this fierce warrior and to make Geralt proud of her. But because she's a girl, these herbs have a kind of unexpected effect on her. They don't really work on her and don't really have the same effect that they had on Geralt and the other witches. Ciri does go off at one point to this training school, and it's kind of like Hogwarts. And she tries to, I wouldn't say use her magical abilities, but she's just there to learn an education, I would say. We find out that there is this sorceress, or wizard, as she sometimes refers to herself as, called Triss. Now, Triss is seen at the start of the book, and she goes to the Temple of the Witches to try to help Ciri and to basically give her a choice that you don't have to be a witcher, you can be anything that you want to be. And at first I was very, very suspicious about Triss. I didn't know whether I wanted to trust her or not. But she is trying to do what's best for Ciri, whether that's her being a witcher or not. But there is a time in the book where Ciri, Geralt and Triss are separated, and it's like, okay, 1 minute they're together and then the next chapter they are apart from each other, and I'm like, what did I miss? But there was like a weird time jump in the book. We find that Dandelion is in this town where this university is, and I think he might be a professor, and he's still performing, he's still singing songs and performing poetry, and he has this massive following and people that respect him. But I do think that he has grown up and grown older in this book. He isn't the cocky young man that is obsessed about women's beauty and that's all he really focuses on. Yes, he still does that, but he is a more articulate character in this. And we find that there's this very, very evil wizard that is trying to hunt down Ciri and Geralt for reasons yet unknown to us. But we find out that the reason why this wizard is trying to find these two characters is because he sees them as a plague and a disease on his land and on this world, and that they have to be killed and be disposed of. But he's so full of hatred towards Geralt and Ciri that he has got real tunnel vision. He even tortures Dandelion at one point, and Dandelion, because he's such a fierce friend and loyal friend to Geralt, he doesn't give much away. We also find out that Yennefer's in this story as well. She is kind of helping Dandelion out of that situation, and she's kind of giving me the impression that she's looking at the whole events at a distance and observing things as they unfold. But at the end of the book, she's with Ciri in this Hogwarts type of environment at this school, and she tries to train her up into a sorceress, into a wizard. And they kind of have a nice relationship with each other. And we also discover that Nilfgaard, which is this overhanging threat, this big bad. And Nilfgaard isn't this one individual or this group of individuals. It's a whole civilization that is focused on destruction and chaos and ruin, and they want to go from town to town, city to city, and conquering as many towns as they can and killing as many people as they can as well. We also find that there is this group of elves that live in the woods called squirrel elves, which, yeah, squirrel as in the creature. And we see them as they are battling in this book. They have like a massive fight in this book, and they are so bloodthirsty. There is a discussion within this that Nilfgaard is kind of like pulling their strings and telling them what to do and using them as puppets. So that's where it is right now. The book does leave on a cliffhanger, and it is open for the next book. It doesn't like cut off and the next book starts off with a brand new story. It's one linear story. So I'm really interested to see where the next book, which is called Time of Contempt, goes, which me and Sin are obviously going to read probably in August. So this book was a lot different than reading the first two books, which are short story collections, which all the stories you could read in a matter of 1 or 2 days, and they are just like your like one and done type of thing, and you can move on to the next story, which is completely different. It's got new monsters to fight and new characters to experience. But in this book, you don't have that. It's one continuous story. And what took Andrzej, I hope I'm pronouncing the dude's name right, some stuff which took him like a good chunky paragraph to explain, in this book it takes him about 2 or 3 pages to explain. So I suppose that gives him more free reign to explore these characters. And I did actually like this book. Even though the pacing was a bit slow for me, it's not as action-packed as I would like, but it's more of a character-driven story and an action story secondly. I suppose if I have to rate it, I was going to rate it a 4 stars, but after I listened to the audio book, I'm going to give it a more honest rating, which is a 3.5 stars out of 5. But yeah, I would really recommend that you read the Witcher series. It's a really good series. Both me and Sin had the same experience by reading this book, although she kind of picked up on other stuff which I kind of missed out and maybe glossed over. I can't really remember. But yeah, let me know if you've read the Witcher books. What did you think of Blood of Elves? Have you read the other books? What did you think about them? And we can have a discussion about it down below in the comments. I know that on Netflix, season 2 focuses on the Blood of Elves, which I haven't actually watched yet, but I am going to be getting on that. But I know that season 1 focuses on books 1 and 2, which are The Last Wish and Sword of Destiny. So I cannot wait to watch season 2 of The Witcher. So yeah, that's it guys. That's all I had to really mention about this book. I think I've covered everything. And please do not forget to check out SYN'S channel and her video on Blood of Elves. But as I said, there will be a couple of links down below which would take you right to her channel and right to her video on this book. So please check them out. So with all that out of the way, all said and done, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.